We're going to go through a install on a Kids Kot into a 2018 NCV3 Sprinter. Your Kids Kot kit should come looking like this. We'll go over what is inside. You'll have a small bag of parts and fasteners. Should have 2 door brackets. You'll have a B-pillar driver's side bracket and a passenger side B-pillar bracket. This one is equipped with the included grab handle. Yours may not include the grab handle if you didn't choose to include that, and it would look something like this. You'll also have a set of instructions, and then of course the unit. Okay, let's go start to do the install. We're going to be going through this set of instructions so you can follow along. Start off by removing the gray plastic cover on the accessory hook, and then using a T20, a Torx 20 bit, back that off and set that aside. The other side. For the lower tie down spots, you're going to need a T45, Torx 45 bit. Just back those off. And we'll do the one on the other side as well. Okay, there we go. Now, if your Sprinter comes equipped with factory swivel seats, you'll see your seat belt is anchored to a point right here. You'll see a bolt. You're going to have to remove that as well if your Sprinter comes equipped with that. In Sprinters that are not equipped with the factory swivel seats, the lower seat belt anchor point will most likely be fastened into the seat right here. This is going to have to be removed in order to fully remove the B-pillar plastic covers. Take your flathead screwdriver, pop the small plastic cover off using a Torx 45 bit. You can now remove that screw. And then to get this piece of metal has a little hook on it. If you insert your flathead screwdriver behind and pry out a little bit, it'll pop out for you. Replace this screw. It keeps the seat back aligned with the seat base. If that gets misaligned, it can be a little hard to get it back. So make sure you replace that. You're going to want to do this now on the driver's side. It should be exactly the same. If your van comes equipped with a factory grab handle, this is going to have to be removed as well. Take a small flathead screwdriver. You'll see a small indentation in the lower part. If you twist, it'll unsnap and pull it off. And then using a T30, you can remove the 2 screws holding the handle. The seat belt is free. We can pull the B-pillar off, B-pillar cover. You start at the top and just give it a quick, nice jerk. Come about this far down, pull the other ones off. And then from here, you can pull up, thread the seat belt through, and you can remove your B-pillar plastic cover. Now with the B-pillar plastic covers removed on both sides, we can start step 2, temporary locating the B-pillar brackets. Helps to first remove this rubber gasket just a bit, not too much. Put some blue painter's tape is always helpful. Drawing lines. Okay. You can also tape back this. Okay. These are the 2 stamped holes that you're going to be using to locate the where the bracket goes. You're going to want to measure 1 1/4 below this. This is for an NCV3, 2012 to 2018. For 2019 and up, it's going to be 1 inch down. This is where the ruler comes in helpful. 1/4 down. Okay, that line is going to give me the top of the bracket edge. 1 1/4 down. The outside edge aligned with the pinch weld pressed up against it. I'll make 2 marks, center marks in holes diagonal to each other. Okay, from those I will use a center punch to mark my hole. I can now drill 2 small pilot holes. Okay. Now inside your bag of parts you'll find 2 or 4 self-tapping screws. Okay, these can be used to temporarily locate the B-pillar bracket Once tightened, make sure you're still aligned on the edge and on the top properly. And now we'll move over to the driver's side and do the driver's side. Both of them are temporarily located with the self-tapping screws, just 2 of them in each side. We can now test the alignment with our Kids Kot unit. So take your unit and then using the smaller of the 2 bars, we're going to now put the side that has the holes is on the passenger side. So use the smaller bar, place into the driver's side bracket, push all the way as far as it can go, bring it back, align, and pull back to fit this. Now you want to make sure that bar can rotate freely. That means that they're aligned. If it's not rotating freely, right now is the time to make the adjustments. With our B-pillar bracket in place and we've tested now for alignment, we're going to center punch in the hole, the vacant holes, leaving the 2 holes, the 2 screws still in. Okay, I'll use now a small 3/32 bit. Okay, from here I like to use a what it's called step bit. This one's the small 13 steps, goes from 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch. But these can be very handy and helpful for this process. Okay, now that we've got our holes pretty good, I'm gonna go in with a 19/64 drill bit, still with the bracket screwed in place. Okay, by doing this, you know your hole is now perfectly centered with those holes. Okay, now we'll remove our bracket. Now we're going to drill these holes out to the 25/64. Okay, we're going to be putting in our riv nuts now. There are different tools for riv nut installation. The one that's linked to on my webpage is the Astro 1442. It comes with all the mandrels that you would need for this kit, which is the 10/24 and the 1/4 20. I'll be inserting them with the pneumatic style one right now just because it's easier. Okay, now that these are in place, we can take our 1/4 20 hex head bolts and put this back in place. Okay, I'm going to tighten that down. Make sure again we're aligned with the pinch weld. We're good on our mark. We're going to do that same process over on the driver's side, and then we'll check the alignment one more time to make sure that we're good. So we'll take the unit again, just like last time, slide it over, put it in place. Make sure that that is spinning nice and freely. Okay, I see no issues with this one. If you do have issues, you got to make the adjustments now, and then we'll drill out the holes, put the final 2 riv nuts in there, and the B-pillar brackets will be pretty complete. We're now going to drill out the remaining 2 holes, and actually on this one, because it has a grab handle, we're going to do the far bottom one as well at the same time. So we'll drill these out and replace the riv nuts. I'm going to do my step bit again. Using a 19/64 bit, I'm going to put them in the holes. And now we can remove this bracket. We'll now drill out to a 25/64. Insert riv nuts. Now we can reinstall the bracket with all bolts. Okay, we're not going to lock tight yet. We'll still be pulling this off one more time. Now we'll do the exact same thing on the B-pillar on the driver's side B-pillar. Just drill out the remaining 2 holes and inset the riv nuts and the bolts to set it back in place. We're gonna now replace the door seal and we're gonna place now tape along this. Okay, we need to mark the location of this B-pillar bracket, or yeah, so we can cut the hole accurately into the plastic. So we're going to want to make a line with a marker right in the center of this, the center of the tube that is coming straight out from the B-pillar. We'll mark the center, the top, and the bottom. Okay, and then we'll mark now. Well, I'm going to pick 1 inch as my marks. So I'm going to measure 1 inch over and put a cross hatch on that center line. Okay, and we'll remember this is 1 inch. Now I'm going to put the edge of my ruler right in about the center of the center at the top of that tubing and make another mark at about 1 inch. Cross hatch onto that line, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, we will pull this off and replace with the B-pillar. Okay, you want to make sure your B-pillar bracket is securely snapped into place. Now we'll put tape here to transfer our lines over. Alright, we'll do a center line, top line, bottom line, and then we'll measure over 1.5 from that line, 1.5 from my crosshatch there, and 1.5 from the crosshatch here. Okay, so now what this tells us is our circle that we need to cut out is around here. My tube is 1.25 inch thick, so if I go over 5/8 from that, that will be my center point for drill, a 1.25 drill, and that should give us the cutout that we need to make this fit perfect. You repeat the same process here. Center line, top line, bottom line, 1.5 over, 1.5 over, and 1.5 over. And I know that that's 3/4 inch tubing, so we could go over 3/8 of an inch and that'll give me my center point here for this drill, and then I'll snip the edges here to be able to put it all in together. I'm now going to drill the center hole here and there, and I'm going to use a 1 1/4 inch hole saw for this cut. You can see how the top of my cut is at the top of the line and at the bottom of the line, so I know I should be pretty good on alignment. Okay. For my bottom hole, I'm actually going to use a step bit, so I need to be careful not to go too far. I have markers on here that tell me where I need to go, which is 3/4, maybe actually up to 11/16 might be a good idea. Okay, so I have snipped out my the remaining piece with side cutters, snipped like this. I cleaned up with a Dremel tool, which works well. I did the same thing down below. You can clean up with sandpaper how you need, make adjustments to make sure this fits, put it in place, make sure you snap it all in, see how it fits, and once you get your cutouts perfect, then you can back these out one by one. Put a drop of the thread locker on the and replace. Okay, I'll do that to all the bolts, and then this will be finished. I can put this in place. Alright, now that we have everything Loctited and in place, we need to replace this B-pillar. So we're going to thread this through the seat belt. Okay, make sure you're all in place. You can snap those in place. Now, when you do this, you have to make sure you align your seat belt adjustment here properly with the mechanism that's behind it. So you want to, when you install it, you want to make sure that the button is in the up position, and then locate this silver peg, and that goes with the lower hole, and then the upper one aligns, and once they're aligned you can push it into place. And then make sure that it works before you, and that it locks and latches. Now that everything's installed, you have the option of putting on these gray stickers that are included to cover up the holes from the factory grab handle, or there's a second option. The factory grab handle replacement kit comes with 2 magnets, 2 screws, and a special wrench. So, super easy installation. Take the existing handle and remove the plastic end caps that fit against this. You'll notice the bottom one has the little notch for your screwdriver. So we'll start with the top one. Take that, find its placement, take one rubber coated magnet, thread on, use a hex Allen. We'll do the same thing to the bottom. Make sure it's facing the correct direction. Use Allen wrench to tighten. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the installation, and your wrench just snaps into place just like that. It's held super strong by the magnets. It's not going to go anywhere. You've got a nice bottle opener here, conveniently located right by the door, and here's your wrench for tightening up your Kids Kot. This is the factory grab handle replacement kit. Now we're going to go through the cutout on the driver's side B-pillar plastic cover. This application is going to be a little different because we have a wall paneling here. You may or may not have a wall paneling there. The process is pretty much the same. Some of these numbers may be a little different. You'll also probably won't have this bundle of wires. If you have an air conditioning unit, you may have the drip line. Anyways, we'll just go through the process so you can see the how it goes. But we're gonna put some tape here for some markings. And usually, again, you can probably get the tape behind this without an issue, because there will be a gap. So I'm just going to try and get some tape up in there so I can do the best I can. Okay. So, the dimensions and markings that we need are the top of this tube coming out from the B-pillar. So you can either use a ruler or kind of rest your pin against the top of that to make the marking. And the bottom, similar to the other side. Now, this is where it gets a little different from the other side. We're going to need to measure from the wall to the far side of this tubing. So the side that's closest to me right now. You can use maybe 2 rulers to figure that out. I'm just going to use anything that can rest up against that edge. Okay, so I'm looking at about 1.5. Yours will probably be bigger than this. If you don't have this, I think it comes out to about 1 7/8 out from the wall. So now we're going to remove this bracket and put the B-pillar in place, and then we can transfer our marks onto the B-pillar and cut the hole. Okay. It's easier to open the door for this process. You want to get this in just as if you're replacing it. So make sure the bottom gets into the hooks. Okay, so you can now see where we need to make our marks. We'll mark the top line here and the bottom line, and then put this in place. Make sure you're fully snapped. Measure out whatever distance you recorded to the far end of the of that bracket, which was 1.5 for me. Now we know that's the far end, so our cutout is going to look something like that with the roundness. We can take and measure. This is a little over 1 1/4, so mark the midpoint of that. And then you can mark 5/8 in from that line, from the far line, which would give you the midpoint for your drill, your 1 1/4 hole saw, which we'll drill out now. Start with a pilot hole. I'm going to use, again, my 1 1/4 hole saw. I'll now snip the remaining pieces off. And I'll use a Dremel and some sandpaper to clean that up, and we'll see how it fits. We got this bracket put back on, put Loctite on the threads. We clean this up with a Dremel and some sandpaper. So from here, you just make sure that you're fitting. You want to snap your pieces in. Make sure your seat belt is aligned, your seat belt mechanism. So again, the little silver peg lines up with the bottom hole, and then push your button up, and you should be aligned properly. Make sure you're snapped in if you can be. Okay, and then we're going to now reattach our seatbelt. Attachment points, put in the hook and your tie-down screw, and your B-pillar installation will be finished. Okay, we're moving on to step 5, installing the door brackets. Your door brackets, you'll have 2 of them. Make sure you're putting the right one on the right side. So when this fits up, it'll fit into the curve here with the hole pointed upward. So this piece will go onto the other side. Again, I think it's best to protect the area with some tape. We're going to make a mark 1 1/4 up from the bottom of this top point right here. If it's a VS30 2019 up, the measurement's going to be different. So make sure you look at your instructions to make sure that you're taking the right measurement. This one is 1 1/4 from this point here. Okay, so we have a line 1 1/4. This line is going to be the bottom, where the bottom of this bracket sits. So from here, we're going to push this bracket over against, as far over as possible, and we will make 2 marks for our center points. I'm going to use a set punch to mark those. This helps your drill bit from wandering around. Make sure it goes into the right spot. We'll drill the holes. Check those holes. Make sure they're good. It appears my bottom one could maybe move up a little, so I'll take that in consideration. while I'm drilling these out. Okay, let's take a look. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to drill those out to 25/64. Insert our riv nuts. Place the door bracket into place using the 1/4 20 bolts. Just going to use a set punch to mark the center of the hole. Then I'll drill a pilot hole to make sure that that is in the center. I'm going to now remove this bracket and now pull off the tape. I'll enlarge the hole using a step bit and then use a final drill bit of 19/64 for the final size of the 1024 rib nut. Okay, I'll be setting the rib nut using the Astro 1442. Okay, we'll install and check to see how it fits. Okay, if your screw has a little hard time going in, rather than forcing it, I recommend using a tap and clean out the threads, and that way you can ensure that you don't spin your rib nut, which can create a hard time replacing. So that's in. Okay, our bracket's installed. We're going to repeat that on the other side, and the Kids Kot installation should be done. Okay, now with both the door brackets installed, we can test fit the unit. So align again with the holes and the tab on the passenger side. Place the long bars into the driver bracket, align, and close. This should have some type of wiggle. After checking alignment, if everything aligns well, you're good to go. You're going to pull these out and use some Loctite thread locker to keep these things in place. If there is a problem and this needs to be tilted somehow to make sure that the pipe rotates freely, you can pull off the brackets, and you can place washers under this plate, and that will help with the tilt of the bracket if that need be to make sure that the bar spins freely. Shouldn't be necessary, but if you need to do that, then that's how you can fix that. All right, enjoy your Kids Kot.